Distinguish between fact and value in Weber's Protestant Ethic and Spirit of Capitalism. These are those kind of questions whose answer you have to extract from your understanding. Okay. Tomorrow you may come across many such questions. Explicitly kahin nahi hota, but you have to think. चलो अब शुरू करते हैं. ऑडिबल है? ठीक है. नाउ यू टेल मी. ओके, मैं नहीं बताता आज. यू टेल मी व्हाट इज फैक्ट. Fact value. What is fact in Weber's study of Protestant Ethics and Spirit of Capitalism? Remember, there are many methods to approach any question. Okay. So far we have learned one technique that always start with definition of keyword. Okay. Another technique is to describe briefly about the past or the history, okay, of those ideas. But it all depends on demand of the question, okay, and also the number of marks attributed to the question. Okay. In this question, since this question is 10 marks only, I may not describe the history of all those things, but I may write one line, okay, that may describe briefly everything. Okay. I may say that the very spirit of sociology lies in the writings of Weber's Spirit of Capitalism. ऐसा करके शुरू कर दिया. ठीक है. ये कुछ ऐसा, ये आंसर नहीं है क्वेश्चन का, बस ये हवाबाजी, इसको हवाबाजी बोलते हैं. ओके. जस्ट टू कैच अटेंशन ऑफ द एग्जामिनर. ओके. उसके बाद आंसर आएगा. नाउ यू टेल मी व्हाट इज फैक्ट. टाइम इज मनी इज नॉट फैक्ट. ये फैक्ट छोड़ना हुआ. रिलेशंस ऑफ प्रोटेस्टेंट एंड कैपिटलिज्म, ये फैक्ट कैसे हो गया? ये तो उसने एम्पैथेटिकली अंडरस्टैंड किया है. दिस इज समथिंग दैट ही हैज अंडरस्टूड by putting himself into the shoes of Protestants over a long period of time by looking into the history and context. ये fact कैसे है? ये तो it is his finding, value based finding. Study of origin of Protestantism, adequate causality, non-opinionated, non-biased, fact, religion linked with rise of capitalism, objectivity. फैक्ट को तुम लोग अब फैक्ट की तरह ही लेने लग गए हो. यूनिट 2 की तरह बात कर रहे हो अब तुम फैक्ट के नाम पे. फैक्ट क्या है? फैक्ट यही है, इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन हैपेंड इन इंग्लैंड. ये फैक्ट है कि नहीं? यूनिट वैसे मत सोचो ना यार, खुल के दिमाग खोलकर सोचो. भाई इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन हैपेंड इन इंग्लैंड, ये फैक्ट है. प्रोटेस्टेंट रेफॉर्मेशन हैपेंड इन जर्मनी, ये फैक्ट है. इसमें कोई वैल्यू है? ये फैक्ट है. These two which I just talked about are facts. Okay. First, Industrial Revolution in England. Second, Protestant Reformation in Germany. Third, maximum of the people during Industrial Revolution were Protestants. Fact. ठीक है, 70% of the staff, manager, employees, यही मैंने बताया था, were Protestants. ठीक है, ये फिगर याद रख लो. 70% of the staff, workers, जो भी employees, managers, were Protestants. All these are facts. जिसमें कोई डिस्प्यूट नहीं है. दैट इज वाई दे आर फैक्ट. इसमें डिस्प्यूट ही नहीं है. मार्टिन लूथर जर्मनी का था, वहां हुआ रेफॉर्मेशन, ये रिकॉर्डेड है. इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन इंग्लैंड में रिकॉर्डेड है. ये प्रोटेस्टेंट के 70%, ये भी रिकॉर्डेड है. दैट इज वाई दे आर फैक्ट. अनबायस्ड, वैल्यू फ्री, ओके, कंप्लीटली बेस्ड ऑन ऑब्जेक्टिव डेटा. ओके, यस, शिज्म, बिल्कुल सही. शिज्म मीन्स डिवाइड. कैथोलिक चर्च वर्सेस प्रोटेस्टेंट चर्च. ओके, चर्च गॉट डिवाइडेड इनटू टू आफ्टर रेफॉर्मेशन. These are facts. Now, what can I do? I can sum up all these facts together and call them as material conditions. Compressed all the three into a box called as material condition. ये box है facts का box. Okay. But ये material, how did this box come into existence basically? Schism, revolution, and industrial revolution, and that schism, and that the very idea of Protestants being maximum in the industrial revolution. What is that one thing which has actually led to rise of this fact? The answer lies in the work ethics, Puritan work ethics, or Protestant ideas. Okay, the answer lies in Puritan work ethics. Why 70% are Protestants? Why industrial revolution happening in England? How come schism got developed between Catholic and Protestants? Everything can be traced to the work ethics or the ideas of Protestants. And therefore, these are ideas. And these are facts. And we know relation between fact and value is adequate causal. This is what he was asking basically. ठीक है? We know facts related to the origin of capitalism, rational capitalism. Okay. And other than these factors, there were other facts as well that Max Weber talked about. Rise of rational laws, market. These are also factors. Okay, multi-causal reality he clearly talked about. These were facts. But the values were important because these things may be available anywhere, but it is only the values of Protestants which has actually given rise to the rational capitalism. Okay, ये हमको बताना था. So this was what we have to do. Okay. So let us start with Acha, remember, there is one more method to approach this question. There is a sociologist called as James Coleman. James Coleman. He has depicted Weber's idea in a quite different fashion. Like this. This is the summary of Max Weber's Spirit of Capitalism according to Coleman. Okay. This is known as Coleman's boat. बोट पता है ना तुम्हें? बोट, कोलमैन की बोट है ये. इसके थ्रू उसने आंसर किया है वीबर्स प्रोटेस्टेंट एथिक्स को, स्पिरिट ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म को. एंड ही सेज हियर लाइज द, व्हाट डू यू कॉल इट एज, रैशनल capitalism at the tip of this board. Okay. It is a fact. And here lies Puritan work ethics. Values. And यहां क्या है? Puritan work ethics gave rise to, initially, if you remember, it was basically what rational social action that they were doing. Value rational social action. Work to them was spiritual experience. So in work, they were finding way to heaven. Okay. So it was value rational social action. Gradually, this value rational social action turned into Zweig rational social action. Okay. Value rational social action turned into Zweig rational social action. Okay. That is, now they are concerned with money, not with God. Okay. That is why Zweig rational. Formal. Instrumental orientation. Something that Telker Parsons says. It is instrumental orientation now. Okay. No more expressive action. Okay. ये जो मैंने अभी वर्ड्स लिए हैं, एक्सप्रेसिव, इंस्ट्रूमेंटल, ये टेलकट पार्सन के, ठीक है, इसको याद मत करना, ये हमारे सिलेबस में नहीं है. Zweig rational social action. Okay. Which is nothing but formal rationality. This formal rationality led to rational capitalism. ऐसे. Simple. Okay. ये कोलमैन्स बोट है. ठीक है. If you take the same question, fact and value, through the lens of Marx, Marx is like this: fact, values. Economic base, fact, material condition. Values on superstructure. To Max Weber, ulta. Values here, fact here. And unlike Marx, there is no monocausal relation. According to Marx, it is like this. According to Weber, it is like probability. And दोनों का relation है आपस में. Okay. Adequate causal. Let us now start with Mead, George Herbert Mead. सर क्रिटिक, मर्टन क्रिटिक अभी हुआ नहीं है. अच्छा ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है ठीक है. चलो फिर मर्टन की क्रिटिक कर लेते हैं. Martin's critique. When I look into Merton's लाइफ हिस्ट्री, उसकी अपनी जिंदगी को जब मैं देखता हूं, हिज बायोग्राफी, I see in him an accidental sociologist, a person who became sociologist by accident. Okay. Audible है ना? Yes. So I see in him a person who became sociologist by accident. As a young person, he was street magician, conjurer. Okay, performing street magic as a young person. Okay, as a young man. This was the way he sustained himself. Okay. And his sister's, Robert Merton's sister's boyfriend, रॉबर्ट मर्टन की बहन का जो बॉयफ्रेंड था, रॉबर्ट मर्टन सिस्टर्स बॉयफ्रेंड वाज अ मजिशियन. ओके. I see in him a sociologist by accident. Right from the childhood, he had a role model. Sister's boyfriend was a magician, and he became magician. Reference individual. Okay. Every concept that you would see is actually, in fact, not just to Merton. I did not talk about other scholars and their life history. Every scholar is a product of a sociology that they have developed is a product of their own history, their own life experiences. Okay. One day in Philadelphia, a university was there, Temple University. Okay. Temple University was a university of poor people, underprivileged. जैसे राइट टू एजुकेशन के अंडर जो स्कूल खुलते हैं, largely for poor people. That was Temple University was like that only. Okay. He got admission. Video lagging. बट ये बड़ी दिक्कत है, पता है, ऑनलाइन लेक्चर्स में बहुत ज्यादा दिक्कत है. How many of you can come to offline center if possible? ठीक है, अगर आ सकते हो आ जाओ यार, सिलेबस जल्दी खत्म होएगा और इशू भी नहीं रहेगा कोई. हाँ नहीं, जो बंगाल में है उनका तो मैं क्या करूं, जो कहां पे भी है, जो दिल्ली में है उनकी बात कर रहा हूं मैं. नॉट पॉसिबल सर, भले ही आप दिसंबर तक ले लो. अरे मैं क्यों लूं दिसंबर तक यार, मेरे को और कुछ काम नहीं है क्या जिंदगी में? दिसंबर तक ले लो. अरे मैं अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ छोड़ दूं? आफ्टर October prelims, 10th October, I have to take another batch, crash course for those who are appearing in this year 21, 25 days का, 25 दिन में सोशियोलॉजी खत्म. ठीक है, 25 days, and along with that I have to run test series also. Okay, so of course आप लोग का सिलेबस तो मैं पहले खत्म कर दूंगा, बट ट्रस्ट मी, आई विल नॉट फिनिश योर सिलेबस इन हेस्ट. जल्दबाजी में नहीं करूंगा मैं. ठीक है, पूरा कंप्लीट होएगा. 2-4 चीजें छूट जाएंगी, बट आई विल सजेस्ट यू सोर्सेज आल्सो फॉर दैट. ओके, बट ये है कि जितना हम करेंगे अच्छे से करेंगे सारा. सर स्टूडेंट्स फ्रॉम आउटसाइड दिल्ली आर अलाउड? हाँ, चलो लेट अस गेट बैक टू Merton. He got admission in Temple University as a poor, underprivileged person. Okay. On advice of a man who told him कि कब तक जादू दिखाओगे, थोड़ा पढ़ाई लिखाई करो, तुम्हारे जादू एकदम खत्म हो जाएंगे सबके सामने. So he took admission in Temple University. And in Temple University, there was no discipline like sociology. One fine day, he met Pitrim Sorokin, same Sorokin who had established Department of Sociology in Harvard. Okay. And Sorokin was a chief guest in Temple University. Okay. He had come for some seminar, meetings, something like that. Okay. So he met Sorokin through one of his teacher. Actually, he fell in love with the teacher, firstly, okay, in Temple University. And that teacher actually helped him, okay, to make his career. And that's how the teacher helped him to meet Sorokin. Okay. That Robert Merton actually took guidance from Sorokin for 2-3 weeks. And finally, when Sorokin found in him a potential, Sorokin gave him an offer letter to come to Harvard. Because Sorokin found a potential in him. He came to Harvard and, and Merton writes, it was all by accident. To meet Sorokin was serendipity. Serendipity. Serendipity means accident, happy accident. खुशकिस्मत एक्सीडेंट, मतलब बाय चांस हो गया कि सोरोकिन से मैं मिल गया. It was never planned. It was never planned that I would meet Talcott Parsons. Serendipity. One fine day, actually, I had to go out somewhere, but that person had not come, so I thought, okay, I'll attend today's class, and I will not go to my friend's place. And that day I found in the class, it was Talcott Parsons, some man who would, I did not know who would become famous after some point of time as a grand man of sociology. Okay. I saw him conducting a lecture. I could not understand. After 6 years, whatever lectures he had given to us came out in a form of book. The book's name was Structure of Social Action. Okay. I could read it very easily because I had been attending his classes. Otherwise, the book is not comprehensible to any person. It was all by chance that on that day I did not visit my friend's place and Talcott Parson came, and I actually tried to understand what this man is all about. Found some flaws in his issues, in his text, informed about those flaws to Petrim Sorokin, who was my supervisor. Okay. And someone for whom I had actually joined Harvard. Gradually, I realized that Talcott Parsons' ideas are more interesting. Okay. But there are some flaws, and it was only through Talcott Parsons that I got introduction to European sociology. Because Talcott Parsons at that point of time was also teaching to the students Max Weber, Durkheim. So he got introduced to the ideas of all these peoples. Therefore, after having gone through all those lectures, Merton became a name who could critique Talcott Parsons himself. उससे ही पढ़ा और उसी को पीछे कर दिया. Therefore, the life journey of Merton to me is nothing but a reflection of how an innovator, street magician, may turn conformist, become a student of sociology, and finally end up becoming a rebellion, criticizing all the scholars. Okay, and establishing his own name. His theory of deviance that he discussed was actually based on the official statistics. Just like Durkheim's study on suicide was based on statistics, Merton's study on deviance was based on statistics. हवाबाजी नहीं था वो, Talcott Parsons की तरह. Okay. So, first, we should know that Merton's study on deviance was based on official statistics. And in the official statistics, he found maximum people who are deviants are from lower working class. Lower working class. इसको ध्यान रखना इंपॉर्टेंट है. Okay. Maximum people were lower working class. How else would you explain overpopulation of lower working class in the prisons of America? Prisons of America were overpopulated with lower working class. ठीक है. Working class were labeled as criminals. Okay. And most of the working class people were blacks. So class and race intertwined together to form a phenomena called as crime. He was studying everything. Okay. Specific class, specific race intertwined together. When you mix them, deviance comes. Okay. But it is not like mathematics कि 1 + 1 = 2. ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है. इतना आसान नहीं है. So basically what we have to remember is that Merton's study is all about the deviance of lower working class. Okay. Now, and if you guys very well know that deviance according to Merton is the result of lower working class not able to access legitimate means to gratify the culturally defined goals. मुझे सक्सेसफुल बनना है, पैसा बनाना है, बंगला चाहिए, गाड़ी चाहिए, But I do not have money, do not have education, and that is why I have resorted to the other world of crime to get all those things. And it is a lower working class which does not possess the legitimate means. ठीक है, मिडिल क्लास के पास होते हैं legitimate means. We middle class people have legitimate means. एजुकेशन होता है, एक्सेस होता है, पैसा होता है इतना, ठीक है. अपर क्लास के पास भी सब कुछ होता है, लोअर वर्किंग क्लास के पास कुछ नहीं होता. And that is why most of the criminals are from lower working class, because they do not have legitimate means. Deviance is an outcome of lower working class not having socially legitimate means to gratify culturally defined goals. This was what Merton said. Now let us criticize. First of all, there are many critiques to Merton's deviance theory. Very important name is that of Albert Cohen. Albert Cohen. Albert Cohen is a person who was a student of Merton. And he had interviewed also Merton. That interview is available on YouTube. Cohen interviewing Merton. Okay. Cohen says, lower working class, you are saying, Mr. Merton, that lower working class are turning to deviance because they do not have legitimate means. Okay, but I do not agree with it. I would say lower working class are turning to deviance because of status frustration. Status frustration. Remember this word. Lower working class turning to deviance not because of lack of access to socially legitimate means, but due to status frustration. Status frustration. What is status frustration? Lower working class, however hardworking they may be, are not appreciated. एक ऑटो वाला कितनी मेहनत करता है? पूरा दिन ऑटो चलाता है, पूरा दिन. रिक्शे वाले को देखो, पूरा दिन रिक्शा चलाएगा. और रिक्शा वाला, auto wala, just to give you some example of the lowest working class in India. These are those people who are toiling like anything, doing manual labor, sweating day and night, trying their best to sustain themselves and to ensure survival of their family members. And despite that, all throughout day, they get nothing but abuses. ओए रिक्शे वाले, ऐसा साइड हो. पूरा दिन यही सुनते रहते हैं वो, पूरा दिन. गुस्सा आ गया एक दिन, बहुत हुआ. मैं कोई रिक्शे वाला नहीं हूं, बीटेक किया है मैंने। अगले दिन, नेक्स्ट डे, ही ज्वाइंस ऊबर। ऊबर, ठीक है। ही ज्वाइंड ऊबर, took some training in Gurgaon for 7-8 days, joined Uber, learned English, few words, okay. On 8th day onwards, he started enjoying a new life that Uber has given to him, okay. People started booking Uber. One day he got a call from some customer. He went to his house to pick him up. He was actually trying to find a way out to his home because he was not able to locate his home exactly. So he called up directly. Sir, आपका लोकेशन कहाँ पड़ेगा, समझ नहीं आ रहा है. And you are saying, अबे तेरे को दिख नहीं रहा है क्या मैप में, हैं? Then he's trying to calm himself down. Sir, actually, जितनी उसने इंग्लिश सीखी, actually I was trying to find your home. वो मुझे मिल नहीं रहा है, आप मुझे आराम से बता दो कहाँ है आपका घर. वहां से लेफ्ट लो, इधर आओ और राइट ले जाओ, सामने घर है. ओके. दैट उबर ड्राइवर कम्स right at the destination, right at the source point, okay. Finally that man he comes and asks the Uber driver to open the door. दरवाजा खोलो यार मेरे लिए, सामान बहुत है. ओके सर, ओके, खोला, बैठ गए. And then all throughout the journey, that Uber man, okay, is talking about his experience, okay. So sir, you know, I have done this thing, that thing, all those things in my life, all those things, okay. Not talking about being a rickshaw driver at one point of time, okay. Everything he is talking about, okay. I have done education from this, qualification मेरी ये है ऐसे ऐसे करके, okay. Every time when he is talking, he is indulged in what Irving Goffman, one scholar, would call as roll distance. एक concept है, roll distance. What is roll distance? Roll distance is like, suppose you are auto wala, okay, but you do not want the other person to think of you just as an auto wala. You would portray your picture as बड़ा आदमी और पढ़ा लिखा, सब पढ़ा लिखा है मैंने, वो तो मैं ऐसे ही कर रहा हूँ, टाइम पास के लिए कर रहा हूँ, ऐसा नहीं, मैं ऑटो वाला नहीं हूँ, ठीक है. रोल डिस्टेंस, ट्राइंग टू टेक डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द रोल, ठीक है. ऊबर वाला, सर मैंने बीटेक किया है, यू नो, मैं अमेरिका में था, अभी बस थोड़े दिन के लिए आया हूँ ऊबर चलाने के लिए, 10 दिन की बात, ऐसा नहीं मैं ऊबर ड्राइवर नहीं, ये तो ऐसा नहीं कुछ, ठीक है. रोल डिस्टेंस, everybody does it, okay. When I am teaching you, I am also indulged in role distance. Every time I'll teach you, I would not let you feel that I am a teacher. वो टीचर नहीं हूं मैं, ठीक है. मैं थोड़ा अलग हूं, ऐसे बार बार अपने आप को दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा, ज्यादा हिल के ये वो सब बकवास करके. रोल डिस्टेंस कर रहा हूं मैं भी. Doctor, when you go to doctor, visit a doctor, you tell him that sir, ये प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, okay, I've been feeling ill since last 3-4 days, okay. And doctor, what will doctor do? Doctor would not be very serious. He will start cracking jokes with you, okay. अरे बेटा क्या करते हो तुम? अच्छा, कहाँ से हो? अच्छा, मदर क्या करती है? अच्छा, ये लो बेटा दवाई खाओ, सब हो जाएगा. अरे टेंशन मत लो बेटा, मैं होने. So he is not presenting himself as a very serious person, a doctor. He is also indulged in role distance, okay. ऑपरेशन कर दिया प्यार से, बातें कर करके, और कहाँ थे बेटा? अच्छा यहाँ थे. अच्छा बेटा ये लो वैक्सीन लग गई, चलो निकलो. रोल डिस्टेंस, ठीक है. The people who try very hard for roll distance and are not able to yield result. ऑटो वाले उबर वाले ने बहुत कोशिश करी कि मुझे उबर वाला ना समझा जाए, मैं पढ़ा लिखा आदमी हूं, लेकिन उसको इज्जत दी नहीं पैसेंजर ने. बार बार he that passenger treated him just like a taxi driver. ओके, स्टेटस फ्रस्ट्रेशन, गुस्सा आ गया, उसने बोला कल से जाना ही नहीं उबर, इसको मार दूंगा पहले तो मैं इस आदमी को, I'll kill him. This is the problem with working class. They are very hard working people, but they do not get status. They do not get status. And this results into crime. When we were in school, okay, most of the students I remember were labeled as failure by teachers in our classes. तुमसे तो होगा नहीं, तुम्हारे तो पता नहीं कैसे पास होगे तुम, ये वो सब करके, ठीक है. They were backbenchers, most of them, okay. And when every time they would listen that we would not be able to perform, we would not be able to perform, we would not be able to perform, and they are not getting results also, only because the teacher already knows that they cannot perform, so obviously they start thinking that we cannot perform, so they do not give enough time to their studies. Ultimately this results in their failure, self-fulfilling prophecy. And finally, when it is time to leave the school, they decide स्कूल छोड़ने से पहले जितने भी टॉयलेट्स हैं, जितने भी शीशे हैं, जितने दरवाजे हैं, सब तोड़ के जाएंगे, सब तोड़ देंगे. स्टेटस फ्रस्ट्रेशन, इज्जत नहीं मिली क्योंकि स्कूल में. You would not find person scoring 90% doing these kind of things in school. Only people 30, 40, 50, 60, 50% वाले ये करते हैं. Status frustration. Can Merton explain this crime which they did for fun? मस्ती के लिए किया. This is known as vandalism. What is vandalism? चल रहे थे ऐसे, आइसक्रीम खा रहे थे रात को, देखा कांच की बिल्डिंग, पत्थर मार दिया ऐसे मजे के लिए. कांच की बिल्डिंग ऐसे मार मजे के लिए. This is also crime. Merton cannot explain me. मैं तो पढ़ा लिखा हूं, मैं तो ऐसे मजे के लिए मार रहा हूं. Merton cannot explain me this kind of crime, vandalism. It is status frustration which leads to vandalism. Vandalism is crime for fun. मस्ती के लिए crime. Cannot be explained by Merton's theory. Understood? Then comes another criminologist, Cloward and Olin. Cloward and Olin. Cloward and Olin says that when we read Merton, दो लोग हैं, ठीक है. When we read Merton tells us simply, people who could not have access to legitimate means, they turn to deviance to fulfill those goals. Okay. But is it so easy? Is it so easy? I mean, if you do not have legitimate means, you turn into deviants. But even in the world of deviance, there is again a culturally defined goal of the people who are criminals. And even in the world of deviance, there are means through which you have to achieve those goals. And if these people who in the normal world turn to deviance, they may again become loser. They may again become loser. I'll exactly explain you what they are trying to say. According to them, Merton has described legitimate opportunity structure. Merton has described legitimate opportunity structure. What is legitimate opportunity structure? Socially legitimate means are called as legitimate opportunity structure by these people. Okay. So Merton has described this only. If you do not have this, then you become deviant. But then these people say that there is illegitimate opportunity structure as well. There is illegitimate opportunity structure as well. Illegitimate opportunity structure as well. Okay. And therefore, the struggle would remain the same even in the other world of deviance. Struggle would remain the same even in the other world of deviance. How? How exactly? Cloward and Olin have described three forms of criminal subculture. Criminal subculture के three forms हैं. Criminal subculture. Okay. There are three forms of criminal subculture. First is organized crime. For example, mafia. Okay. In the world of mafia also, we have role models. ठीक है? Think about people who are born to underworld, gangs. To them, these are the people who are their role models. Okay. And they are more advantageously placed than this person who wants to become criminal and did not have family background like that. उधर भी कंपटीशन है, उधर भी कंपटीशन है. आसान नहीं है. एग्जाम नहीं है बस वहां प्रैक्टिकल वर्क ज्यादा है, थियोरेटिकल कम. सेकंड, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट सब कल्चर. कॉन्फ्लिक्ट सब कल्चर. Even in the world of gang, there is conflict. दो जो गुट होते हैं, गुट आपस में झगड़े होते हैं उनके. Turf war, we call it turf war. Okay. So even in the world of deviance, you find competition. And there also you have to prove yourself. After every 2 days, there may be gang war. Okay. उधर भी status frustration आ सकता है. Okay. And third is retreatist subculture. Retreatist subculture. Retreatist subculture. Under this, those people who fail in both the worlds fall. ये वो लोग हैं. ना ये पढ़ लिख पाए, ना ये गुंडागर्दी कर पाए, दोनों काम नहीं कर पाए. ऐसे होते हैं पीपल हु फेल इन बोथ द वर्ल्ड्स. क्या करते हैं ये? अल्टीमेटली दे इंडल्ज इन ड्रग अब्यूज. इंजेक्शन लेंगे, ड्रग्स लेंगे और मर जाएंगे बहुत जल्दी. ठीक है. हाईली मार्जिनल. ओके. Who fail in both the worlds. Legitimate opportunity structure, they failed. Illegitimate opportunity structure, maybe they failed. Okay. Now, third, Laurie Taylor. Laurie Taylor. Laurie Taylor is asking very basic question to Merton. Very basic question. Ki Merton, when you say culturally defined goal, who is defining this culturally defined goal? Kitna basic question. By you are saying culturally defined goal, Merton is saying that culturally defined goal in our society based on value consensus is material wealth. Okay. Everybody wants to have car, everybody wants to have property, everybody wants to make wealth. But is this culturally defined? Or is this something that culture falls for? There is a difference between these two things. One is culturally defined and second is something that culture actually falls for. It's a trap. It's not culturally defined goal. It is a goal defined by capitalist class. Okay, it is a goal defined by capitalist class in America through media. Hollywood दिखा के सबके अंदर ये एस्पिरेशन डेवलप कर दी. हमको भी बनना है, हमको भी बनना है, हमको भी बनना है, ऐसा ऐसा बनना है. Okay, so they decide to do hard work as much as possible. So they become efficient workers to the capitalist. Okay. Everybody would want to now join Facebook, Google, Microsoft. They got efficient workers. Like this. So what you call as culturally defined goal is actually the goal of capitalist class. Okay. And Laurie Taylor is actually not happy with Merton, that Merton did not actually look into this thing, this very basic thing. Okay. How could he ignore this? What she's saying is basically that culturally defined goal is not culturally defined. In simple words. Rather, defined by capitalist class. Okay. One more critique. Okay, Laurie Taylor only. Laurie Taylor is also saying, Mr. Merton, you are saying that those who do not have access to legitimate means, they turn to deviance. But there are so many people who do not have access to means. Only few are turning to deviance, rest others are not. How will you explain this discrepancy in the same set of people who do not have access to legitimate means? Some are turning to crime, but some others are not. You did not explain this discrepancy. ये भी बात सही बोल रही है लॉरी टेलर. ओके, नॉट एवरीवन इज टर्निंग टू डिवियंस ना, ऐसा थोड़ी ना कि सारी गुंडागर्दी करना शुरू कर रहे हैं. So these are the basic questions that Laurie Taylor found Merton did not have answers to. Okay. So this is a basic critique to Merton's theory of deviance. Okay. Acha, if I say that urban India has a higher crime rate than rural India. Urban India has higher crime rate than rural India. Okay. Simple सा बात है. First of all, it is a fact. Okay. And then we get to know Merton's कितना relevant है. Why urban India despite being developed? हम तो बोलते हैं डेवलपमेंट करो, बट डेवलपमेंट के साथ साथ क्राइम भी हो रहा है. क्राइम उधर नहीं है. देखो गांव में क्या होता है, घर खुले होते हैं, दरवाजे खुले करके सोते हैं वो छतों पे, कोई चोरी वोरी नहीं. When you go to a village, they will say, अरे सर यहाँ घबराने की बात नहीं है, यहाँ कोई घबराने की बात नहीं है, सारे हम भाई लोग हैं, आपस में दोस्त हैं सारे, ठीक है, यहाँ कोई चोरी नहीं करता सर किसी का, आप आराम से सोइए यहां पर. अमेरिकन ड्रीम की बात तो की थी मर्टन ने. टेलर कॉम्प्लीमेंटिंग मर्टन है. कल्चरली डिफाइंड गोल मर्टन ने क्या बोला कि मटेरियल सक्सेस है. ये कल्चरली डिफाइंड है, शेयर्ड वैल्यू कंसेंसस है. लॉरी टेलर इज सेइंग ये कल्चरली डिफाइंड कहां से हो गया? ये सिर्फ कैपिटलिस्ट क्लास का क्रिएटेड है, जिसको कल्चरली डिफाइंड आप बोल रहे हो. दिस इज नॉट समथिंग दैट इज शेयर्ड बाय एवरीवन. दिस इज व्हाट लॉरी टेलर इज सेइंग. ओके, सो व्हेन यू गो टू अ विलेज, you do not find people who are criminal, or you find very low rate of crime there. Okay, but in urban India we have higher crime rate, and this explains Merton's theory of deviance. It clearly vindicates Merton's theory of deviance, because Merton says anomy is rooted in social structure. In urban India we have those many goals कि हम यहां दिल्ली जाएंगे, शहर में मुंबई जाएंगे, नाम बनाएंगे, मुंबई सपनों का शहर है, ठीक है, दिल्ली सपनों का शहर है. मुंबई यहां से जब लोग जाते हैं ना, पीपल गोइंग टू मुंबई, व्हेन दे थिंक ऑफ दोज हाई ड्रीम्स, ठीक है, क्या होता है? कभी उनसे बात करो, they actually went to Mumbai to become actor, director, musician, choreographer, dancer, जो भी. बात करो उनसे. प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, अभी एक प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है. प्रोजेक्ट कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट है? अभी बात चल रही है, ये अपना जो यश चोपड़ा है ना, यश चोपड़ा, हाँ 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 हाँ, यश चोपड़ा का जो ड्राइवर है, हाँ हाँ ड्राइवर, हाँ, वो ड्राइवर का जो दोस्त है, हाँ, उसने एक फिल्म बनाई. अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, वो प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं, हाँ, ठीक. अच्छा, नेक्स्ट ईयर सेम कंडीशन, क्या कर रहे हैं? करण जौहर. अच्छा अच्छा, करण जौहर का जो वो है चाय बनाने वाला, हाँ हाँ हाँ, उसने मेरे को मिलाया है अपने ये एक दोस्त से हाँ हाँ, क्या हो गया उसके दोस्त को? वो दोस्त अभी सोच रहा है एक एड के लिए उसको चाहिए एक बंदा। अच्छा, ठीक 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 ठीक। स्ट्रगलर्स, वी कॉल देम। ओके, स्ट्रगलर इज अ सोशियोलॉजिकल कॉन्सेप्ट. Okay, now these people turn to deviance. To give you very contemporary example, Raj Kundra. The people who were working for Raj Kundra, okay, वो कौन है? वो स्ट्रगलर्स थे जो प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे थे, प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में सोच के निकले थे यहां से. So basically, urban India has higher crime rate because it is urban India which is giving you these goals. आओ यहां पे अपने सपनों के शहर पे, अपने गोल सारे फुलफिल करो. वो हो नहीं पा रहे तो क्राइम सबसे ज्यादा है. मर्टन ही तो है सबसे ज्यादा रेलिवेंट. अमेरिका, डिस्पाइट बीइंग डेवलप्ड देन इंडिया, हैज हायर क्राइम रेट only because of the same reason. Only because of same reason. Considering that we are defining crime on certain indexes, okay, everything is defined and that is very much defined by crime indexes all over the world. Okay, America is having higher crime rate than India. Okay, that shows more developed you become, more pathological strains you may find in society. Okay, so this was all about Merton. Okay, clear? So let us now begin with Mead, George Herbert Mead. Sir, ritualists and rebellion were not studied much by them. कौन? मर्टन. अरे मर्टन ने तो सबसे ज्यादा इन्हीं दोनों को स्टडी किया है. Who is ritualist? What is the example of ritualist? Monks? Bureaucrats. Bureaucratic personality is a concept. If you remember in the first class of Merton, I told you bureaucratic personality एक contribution है उसका. Okay. Now what is bureaucratic personality? इसको ध्यान रखना, ये बड़ा important चीज है. What is bureaucratic personality? Anybody who becomes officer is not bureaucratic personality. There may be 100 people, but not all of them are bureaucratic. All of them may be bureaucrats, but they are not bureaucratic personality. इसको ध्यान रखना. Bureaucratic personality बहुत अलग personality है. You may be a bureaucrat, but you still may not be a bureaucratic personality, according to Merton. Because to become bureaucratic personality, you have to be rigid, inflexible about the rules that you are following. If थोड़े से भी if you are flexible about rules, ये ठीक है, चलो अंडर द टेबल काम करके निकलवा दिया, काम कर दिया, यू आर नॉट ब्यूरोक्रेटिक पर्सनैलिटी. ब्यूरोक्रेटिक पर्सनैलिटी इज अ टिपिकल मॉडल ऑफ ब्यूरोक्रेट. समवन हु इज वेरी रिजिड, इनफ्लेक्सिबल अबाउट रूल्स. नहीं, ये टाइम पे ही होएगा, उससे एक दिन ना पहले ना एक दिन बाद, चाहे जितने पैसे दो आप मेरे को, डज नॉट मैटर. ठीक है. हु आर दीज पीपल? दीज आर रिचुअलिस्ट. रिचुअलिस्ट हैं. इनको कोई मतलब ही नहीं है गोल से. मीन्स पे पूरा फोकस करते हैं. ऐसे सारे लोग थोड़े ना होते हैं ब्यूरोक्रेट्स. वेरी फ्यू ब्यूरोक्रेटिक पर्सनैलिटीज आर देयर. ब्यूरोक्रेट्स में भी देयर सो मैनी. ओके. Rebellion are those people who are creating social change in societies. Rebellion से ही तो social change आ रहा है. ठीक है. Now, Mead. First, let us take one break, 5 minutes. Sir, but in the rural area, cases get unreported, and it also came in Indian Express new. And then, sir, how can we get? ये सब तो बड़ी subjective बातें हैं. देखो, cases go unreported in rural India. तो अगर रूरल में अनरिपोर्ट हो रहे हैं ना, अर्बन में और भी ज्यादा अनरिपोर्ट हो रहे होंगे. सोच लो तुम ये चीज. रूरल में अनरिपोर्टेड है, अर्बन में तो अनरिपोर्टेड और ज्यादा है. मैं तुम्हें सीधा सा फैक्ट बताता हूं. डेथ रेट कोविड की, डेथ रेट कोविड की जो डेथ रेट है अनरिपोर्टेड सबसे ज्यादा कहां पे है? रूरल में या अर्बन में? अर्बन में है सबसे ज्यादा अनरिपोर्टेड डेथ रेट. ठीक है. Why? Because to die of COVID is a taboo now. कोविड से मर गए, लानत है ऐसी मौत पे. बताते नहीं है घर वाले दूसरे को कोविड से मरा है, हार्ट अटैक आ गया था, सडनली हार्ट अटैक हो गया, पता ही नहीं चला. ठीक है, बाद में डॉक्टर ने बताया था कोविड था. ठीक है, चुप आप, ये सब ये बातें बाहर नहीं. हार्ट अटैक बोलना है, ठीक है, ठीक, हार्ट अटैक बोलेंगे. You know, many people consider it a taboo now to die of COVID because it is something that you can prevent. Cancer you cannot prevent, heart attack you cannot prevent, COVID you can prevent. मास्क ही तो पहनना था. ठीक है, चलो 5 मिनट बाद शुरू करते हैं मीड. By 4 p.m. we'll finish Mead. 1863 to 1931. Mead, remember, is not a sociologist. He is a social psychologist. Social psychologist. And Mead belongs to which school? Chicago, Harvard, Cambridge. Chicago school. ये तो मैंने बताया था तुमको. Chicago school was doing with sociology micro or macro? Micro. Microsociology is all about interaction with people, trying to understand their problems, and to even reform. Some of them were reformers. Not all Chicago scholars were reformers, but most of them were trying to understand the issues by interaction with people. Few of them turned into activism. One of them was Jane Addams. She got Nobel Prize for that as well. Okay. Mead, on the other hand, Mead is the only scholar in our syllabus who is the most, what would I say, coming from a well-off family, highly affluent family. सबसे अमीर स्कॉलर अगर कोई है तो वो मीड है हमारे सिलेबस में. ओके. He belongs to gated community, जिनके दरवाजे आप देख नहीं पाते, लाइट चलती है बस येलो कलर की बहुत दूर से. ठीक है, ये उस घर का है जिनके शौक होते हैं सिगार के, लंबी लंबी पाइप के. ठीक है, ये वो आदमी है. सोशल साइकोलॉजिस्ट. रिमेंबर what was the basic question of Mead? Why Mead is there in our syllabus? Why he is relevant? You know, when you give toffee to a 2-year child, एक 2 साल के बच्चे को आप जब टॉफी देते हो वो खुशी खुशी ले लेगा. He will take it. When you give the same toffee to a 24-year girl, the same girl when she was 2 years, उसने टॉफी ले ली. जैसे ही 24 की टॉफी ले नहीं रही. क्यों? क्यों नहीं ले रही? एंड दिस मैन इज सेइंग, अरे भूल गए क्या तुम? When you were 2 years young, I gave you toffee. And I have recording also. I can show you the video recording. Now you are not taking toffee from me. Why? What will you say? Uh, uh, because I have grown up. जाओ आप यहां से. हैं? तो क्या ग्रो अप हो गई तो क्या टॉफी नहीं खाते हो? Grown up people do not eat toffees. The basic question that Mead is asking is, why does it happen? ये उसका basic question है. In the sense, when you were 2 years young, you did not apply your mind. Simply took toffee. When you turned 24, you started attaching meanings to this toffee. टॉफी क्यों दे रहा है मुझे? इसको पक्का कुछ काम होएगा मेरे से, कुछ गलत काम करवाना चाहेगा, पटाने की कोशिश करेगा, फिर आगे बोलेगा नोट्स दे दो मेरे को ये पढ़ना है, मेरी क्लासेस मिस हो गई, ठीक है, ये वो सब करके फिर दोस्ती करेगा, यहाँ लेके जाएगा मेरे को. नो, आई विल नॉट टेक टॉफी. ओके. So Mead is asking one question. When did this happen that this child started thinking like this? How come you started putting yourself into the shoes of others and started thinking what he must be thinking, why he is giving me toffee? What could be the reason behind him giving me toffee? Okay. When did you start thinking like this? This is what Mead is asking. Simple. समझ गए? When you meet people today, okay, every time when you meet them, you are very conscious of yourself. Every time when you meet them today, you are very conscious of yourself. And you will be very conscious while speaking as well to the other person. You would be thinking constantly what he must be thinking about me. Okay, so you will try to put yourself constantly into the shoes of other person and then try to look back at yourself. मैं कैसा दिख रहा हूँ इसको ये बोलते हुए? नहीं यार ऐसे नहीं बोलना, ये बोल देता हूँ. सर मैं कल आता हूँ आपके पास, ठीक है, फिर 4 बजे. ओके. Every time you are doing role taking, it's a term coined by Mead. You take the role of others, look back at yourself, start thinking what kind of person I may be looking to him or her, and then you change the course of interaction. Okay. For example, suppose you are that person who is very notorious, very shady personality. Okay. शेडी इन द सेंस कि जो बोलता है उसके पीछे कुछ और चल रहा होता है दिमाग में, ठीक है, हमेशा. इसके ये बात जो बोली सीधी बात नहीं, कुछ और ही चल रहा है इसके दिमाग में. ओके. एंड देन यू आस्क योर फ्रेंड, लेट अस गो टू दैट पब, लॉर्ड ऑफ द ड्रिंक्स. ओके. लॉर्ड ऑफ द ड्रिंक्स आज क्यों बोल रही है? Every time you think why this man or this girl is saying this, and then you change the interaction process by putting yourself into the shoes of other and then being very conscious of what you must be looking to him like. Okay, what signals you might have given to him, you change the signals. No, ऐसे नहीं. ये हम करते हैं everyday life में. Okay. So the basic question of Mead is, how self develops. सेल्फ कैसे डेवलप होता है? सेल्फ. ओके. Remember, self has two components, I and me. Okay, I and me. When you took toffee straight away from that uncle when you were 2 years aged, it was your I. When you turn 24, you are not taking the same toffee from the same uncle, because now it is your me. Okay, me is social self. I is individual self. Or impulsive self. Impulsive self. This is social self. Okay. And social self is highly reflexive self. Reflexive self. Here the meaning of reflexivity is different. Reflexivity means you have the ability to take the position of other person and start thinking why he must have said this to me, and then you change the discourse of the interaction and you act accordingly. Okay, this is known as reflexive capability. ये सबके पास नहीं होती. कुछ लोग हम बोलते हैं अरे तुम तो बड़े बेवकूफ है, तुम्हें कोई बेवकूफ बना के चल जाएगा, ऐसा बोलते हैं हम कई लोगों को. ठीक है, दैट मीन्स वी आर सेइंग कि तुम्हारे पास रिफ्लेक्सिविटी नहीं है, मीड वाली. ओके, जो सबसे चालाक लोग होते हैं दे आर मोस्ट रिफ्लेक्सिव. सारा टाइम वो ये सोचते हैं इसने क्यों किया होगा, मुझे पता है, अरे मैं जानता हूं, मुझे मालूम है ये ऐसे क्यों करते हैं. ठीक है भाई, तू तो सबका दिमाग पढ़ लेते. अरे मैंने नीड पढ़ा है, रिफ्लेक्सिव हूं मैं. ठीक है, माइंड रीडिंग कैपेसिटी. ठीक है. सो द पीपल हुज प्रोफेशन इज माइंड रीडिंग, they are reflexive. Not everyone can be a mind reader as a profession. People may be mind reader, not as a profession. The people who are doing profession, they're the most reflexive that way. Okay. The question is, when did me develop? अभी तक आई था, me एकदम कब आया इस दुनिया में? Okay. Very simple. Development of social self. Me talks about 3 stages. Preparatory stage, play stage, game stage. Preparatory stage 0 to 2, 2 to 6, 6 onwards. Okay. Development of social self. What is preparatory stage? Preparatory stage. It is simply a stage where the actor without being conscious is doing roles. Without being conscious you are doing role. ठीक है, ऐसे उठा लिया, मम्मी खीरा काट रही है, ऐसे उठाकर देख रही है, चाकू को उठा लिया. छोटे थे जब मम्मी बोलती है अरे नो हटो, ये नहीं खेलना, इससे नहीं. फिर बिठा दिया रोते हुए को बेड पे, यहीं बैठे रहोगे अब तुम. ठीक है, ये करते हैं बचपन में. एक्टर इज नॉट कॉन्शियस ऑफ हिज एक्शंस, करते जा रहा है बस. In play stage, what happens? In play stage, now after 2 years, 2 to 6 years, what you will do? You see mummy cutting vegetables. Okay, you have been seeing your mother cutting vegetables. What will you do as a girl child? You are a girl child. Okay, when mummy will go to office, you will go to kitchen, you will also act like that. ठीक है, जो बेटा है, बेटा फादर इज गोइंग टू ऑफिस, बेटा पीछे से टाई लगा रहा है, परफ्यूम की बॉटल, उसको पता नहीं क्या है ये, ऐसे पुश कर रहा है उसको ऐसे करके पूरा, ठीक है, ऐसे निकल रहा है, रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं उनका. ओके, गर्ल इज फॉलोइंग द रोल ऑफ मदर, बॉय इज फॉलोइंग द रोल ऑफ फादर. You would not see boy cutting vegetables. You may find sometimes, but since he has been seeing for 2 years, 3 years, कि mother does this, father does this, so boy child does this and girl child will do that. Okay, in 2 to 6 years. That is known as you are playing with the roles. Playing with the roles of mother, father. That means you are playing with the roles of significant others. They are significant others. They are others. They are not you, but they are others. But they are significant others. They are your mother, your father. You have known them for these many years. रोज देखते हो उनको, सुबह रात, ठीक है. Significant others. You copy significant others. Okay. Game stage. In the game stage, what happens? In the game stage, by the time you go to game stage, you develop this capacity. When I am putting on tie of my father, how will I look like to my friends? They are laughing at me. And then you get conscious. Your friends are saying, अरे तू पागल है क्या, ये तेरे पापा की टाई है, ये घर पे छोड़ के आओ, ठीक है. Every time you would see people mocking at you, हंस रहे हैं, लिपस्टिक लगा के आ गई है, ठीक है, इतनी सी है अभी लिपस्टिक, ये मम्मी की लिपस्टिक चोरी करके आई है, घर पे छोड़ के आओ इसको, ठीक है. You would see other parents on the road, पेरेंट्स बोलेंगे किसका बेटा है ये, लिपस्टिक लगा के घूम रही है अभी से ये, ठीक है, इसको घर छोड़ के हो. सो देन यू गेट कॉन्शियस, ये मैं कहां आ गया हूं, कहां आ गई हूं. एंड देन यू बिकम कॉन्शियस इन द सेंस दैट यू डू नॉट नाउ, यू आर नाउ थिंकिंग कि हाउ एम आई लुकिंग टू अदर्स. अभी तक घर पे करते थे ये सब, मम्मी पापा का रोल, अब बाहर जा जैसे करने लग गए, मजाक उड़ रहा है तुम्हारा, ठीक है. सो नेक्स्ट डे बिफोर स्टेपिंग आउट यू वुड बी कॉन्शियस, या फिर वो दोस्त हंसेंगे मेरे पे, नहीं नहीं नहीं, ये नहीं करना. Now, here on, Mead says you start developing this ability to gauge yourself, to look at yourself from the eyes of others. Okay, this happens. And then finally, in the game stage, now what will you do? Now you will start playing games with this ability that you have got out of being mocked. मजाक उड़ा रहे थे तुम्हारा, और इस चीज ने तुम्हें एक शक्ति दे दी, पावर दे दी. ओके, वन डे यू बिकम क्रिकेटर. ओके, एंड देन यू सी द बॉलर कमिंग इन टू पिच अ बॉल, एंड देन यू ट्राई टू सी कहां ये फेंकेगा बॉल. आइडिया लगा रहे हो, ठीक है, उसके एक्शन से, उसकी अग्रेशन से आइडिया लगा रहे हो कि इस तरफ फेंकेगा बॉल, पहले इस तरफ हो गए, ठीक है. इसलिए यू वुड सी बैट्समैन ऐसे ही मचलते रहते हैं फील्ड में, अभी बॉल उसने फेंकी भी नहीं, पहले यहां हिल रहे हैं, उसको कंफ्यूज कर रहे हैं, पहले तो उसके साथ गेम खेल रहे हैं, ट्राइंग टू कंफ्यूज द बॉलर. ओके, एंड बॉलर इज ऑल्सो पूरा जो रनअप जब ले रहा है उसको भी दिख रही है बैट्समैन इधर बहुत हिल रहा है, वो भी उधर अपना, ही इज ऑल्सो ट्राइंग टू पुट हिमसेल्फ इनटू द शूज ऑफ बैट्समैन उस टाइम. नाउ व्हेन आई विल पिच द बॉल, वेयर वुड ही बी एग्जैक्टली? He would try to pitch the ball exactly at that point in time when batsman is doing the same thing. He is trying to think where the bowler might pitch in the ball, and he is trying to move himself accordingly. And then finally six पड़ता है, ठीक है, या आउट हो जाता है. आउट अगर हो गया इसका मतलब बॉलर वाज द मोस्ट रिफ्लेक्सिव वन. बैट्समैन ने अगर सिक्स मार दिया, नहीं, बैट्समैन वाज रिफ्लेक्सिव, ही कुड फिगर आउट कि बॉलर कहां फेंकने वाला है. तो ये जो आपने एबिलिटी सीखी आपका मजाक उड़वाकर बचपन में, लिपस्टिक और टाई पहनकर, ये इस एबिलिटी को आपने यूज किया, यू स्टार्टेड प्लेइंग गेम विद दिस एबिलिटी. ओके, व्हेन यू प्ले चेस, विश्वनाथन आनंद, when you are playing chess, every time during chess you start thinking what the other person, what would be the next move of the other person, accordingly you play your game. That is known as game stage. You are playing game with the mind of others, putting yourself into the shoes of others and then acting accordingly. Okay, and you are doing this not with your parents, not with your significant others. You are doing this with generalized others. Generalized others. That means role taking capacity. You develop in this game stage. You're taking role of generalized others, not significant others, taking role of generalized others. Okay, and then with your parents also you start doing the same thing. Okay, and this creates dispute and conflict between children and parents. जो बच्चा चुपचाप खीरा खा लेता था मेरे हाथ से, आज वही कह रहा है कि मुझे पता है खीरा क्यों खिला रहे हो, क्योंकि घर में और कुछ नहीं बना ना. सब समझता हूं मैं. ये कल के खीरे बचे हुए आप जो मुझे खिला रहे हो, ये सोच के खीरे खत्म करने हैं घर के, मुझे सब मालूम है ये सब क्यों कर रहे हो आप. ठीक है, फिर मदर बोलेगी बचपन में तो तू खा लेता था मेरे हाथ से, ठीक है, अब तेरे को ये सब दिख रहा है. हाँ, क्योंकि मैंने मीट पढ़ा है, मैं रिफ्लेक्सिव सेल्फ हूं. खत्म मीट, 4 बज गए. This is all what we have to do. Simple. Any issue?
How could you say like significant to others? Sometimes class is
Inequality? Class?
No, yeah.
Class inequality?
नहीं सर, इक्वालिटी को मतलब नहीं करता है ना, सिग्निफिकेंट कैसे बोल सकते हैं?
Significant others. Parents are significant others. Parents. Only mother, father, significant. Important ones. Of course, outsider is not important. As much important as parents is, according to the game, the stage of socialization. Any doubt? Sir Mead also mentioned about symbolic interactionism. तो बता चुका हूं ना मैं. Symbolic interactionism is labeled by Herbert Blumer, not by Mead. This is coined by Herbert Blumer, not Mead. Okay, इसको ध्यान रखना. Symbolic interaction. What is symbolic interactionism? What is symbolic interactionism? Every time that actor, whatever he or she is doing, that is nothing but symbolic interactionism. He is looking at the expression of bowler, speed with which bowler is coming. सब symbols हैं. Then trying to gauge क्या करने वाला है, कहां बॉल फेंकने वाला है. Bowler is doing the same, looking at your bat का डायरेक्शन, किस तरफ आपने मूव कर रखा है, symbol. And these symbols are interacting with each other. And then you as an actor, you are trying to gauge what should be the next move of you as a batsman. And what should be the next move of that person as a bowler. Symbolic interaction. कुछ है ही नहीं. Self and society is twin born. Please explain this. यार ऐसे क्वेश्चन पढ़ के जो तुम पूछते हो ना मेरे से, प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन, ये गलत लगता है बड़ा मुझे. ऐसे पूछो ना, ऐसे पूछो. प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पूछ के देख के जो मेरे से सवाल पूछते हो, अरे अपने दिमाग से पूछो, अपने दिमाग से. जिस दिन तुम प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन देख के सवाल पूछोगे तो तुम्हारा ध्यान जो है सिर्फ मार्क्स पे रहेगा, मार्क्स पे, समझने पे कुछ नहीं रहेगा. ठीक है, बता देता हूं मैं. प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन तो मैं खुद ही दे देता हूं. self and society are twice born. What is the meaning of this? That simply means both are same. You and society are same. You have society in you and society consists of people like you. कितनी सिंपल सी बात है. अरे एक बात बताओ, society consists of people like me only. Everybody has this capacity to put himself into the shoes of others. All have me, all have social self. ये देखो, ये सोसाइटी है, ये सेल्फ है, और ये हमारी पार्टी हो रही है. ठीक है, ये सेल्फ हो गए. सोसाइटी कंसिस्ट ऑफ मल्टीपल सेल्फ्स एंड सेल्फ इज मेड in the context of society. Self, you as a self, as me, social self developed in the context of society only. मजाक उड़वा के वो ऐसा बना. Society context में he developed this capacity to think like this, to take role of others and then to look back at himself. According to Mead, self is both an object and subject to itself. Self is both an object and subject. Self is both object and subject. ये सवाल पूछ सकता है यूपीएससी. ठीक है, इसका मीनिंग क्या है? सर यहां पे वेबर का सोशल एक्शन थ्योरी फिनोमेनोलॉजी भी डाल सकते हैं. यहां ये वेबर के सोशल एक्शन से ही तो ये लोग निकले हैं. ये तो मैंने 1 करोड़ बार बताया क्लास में कि वेबर का सोशल एक्शन पहले आया, उसके बाद फिनोमेनोलॉजी आया. फिनोमेनोलॉजी के अंदर एथनोमेथोडोलॉजी और सिंबॉलिक इंटरेक्शनिज्म है. वेबर क्यों डालना इधर? ठीक है. सेल्फ इज बोथ एन ऑब्जेक्ट एंड सब्जेक्ट. व्हेन यू एज अ बैट्समैन इज लुकिंग एट बॉलर, द बॉलर इज ऑब्जेक्ट. बॉलर इज एन ऑब्जेक्ट जिसको आप देख रहे हो, एंड यू आर पुटिंग योर सेल्फ इन टू द शूज ऑफ बॉलर and looking back at yourself. इस बॉलर को मैं कैसा दिख रहा हूंगा, इसको क्या लग रहा होगा कि मैं कौन सा शॉट खेलने वाला हूं. सेल्फ ऑफ बॉलर is an object and you yourself is a subject to the investigation of this whole role taking process. Yourself is subjected to yourself only. क्या बात है? कंप्लीटली हम सारा टाइम इन्वेस्टिगेट करते हैं अपने आप को, हम कैसे दिख रहे होंगे. दिस इज ही इज टेकिंग फ्रॉम कूले. कूले से आया है, चार्ल्स हॉटन कूले. आई एम नॉट व्हाट आई थिंक आई एम, आई एम नॉट व्हाट यू थिंक आई एम व्हाट आई थिंक यू थिंक आई एम. ये कूले से आया है. ठीक है, खत्म मीड. अब इसमें कुछ है नहीं ज्यादा. देखो ऐसा है, ज्यादा इसको टाइम देने का कुछ बात है नहीं. बात सीधी सी है, जो प्रैक्टिकल है वो रहना चाहिए. क्वेश्चन देखो यूपीएससी ज्यादा नहीं पूछता इस एरिया से, और सोशियोलॉजिस्ट को ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं है इन लोगों में. ठीक है, इतना ध्यान रखो. मीड इज डूइंग माइक्रो स्टडी. ओके, इतना ध्यान रखना है बस हमें. एंड सिंस मीड इज डूइंग माइक्रो स्टडी, he is not giving importance to structures. He is not giving importance to structures. Classroom, for example. Classroom consists of students. These are students in the classroom. There is one teacher. Okay. What will Mead say on this picture? Mead say all throughout the 2-hour class, what was going on? Role taking. Students put themselves into the shoes of teacher before asking the question, and then try to see what would teacher may say. If I ask this question, नहीं यार ये नहीं पूछता, बेइज्जत कर देगा, या बेइज्जती हो जाएगी, या मजाक उड़ेगा, नहीं पूछते. सीधी सी बात है, रोल टेकिंग कर रहे हो. Teacher is also doing role taking while explaining the answer to some question. Everyone, both teacher and student within themselves are also doing role taking. And only because of these roles that they have taken of each other, classroom came to existence. Otherwise, classroom does not exist. क्या बात है मीड की? बकवास बात है, ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, बट फिर भी. Mead is not taking constraints in account. Mead is not taking constraints so much into account. You know, the micro-sociologists do not talk about constraints. As I told you, structures की ज्यादा बात नहीं करते हैं लोग. Okay. Classroom, ये देखो. To Durkheim, for example, Durkheim would say, we are acting in teacher and students, like teacher and students, because of social fact. Social fact of class, which is external to and coercive of us. Okay. Has actually made us act like this in constrained fashion, like a teacher only. And you would act like a student only. Okay. But Mead would say, ऐसे नहीं. It is only because of the role that we have taken of each other that classroom has become possible. So it is not classroom constraining these people. It is these people constructing classroom. क्या बात? दोनों की. Understood? Meads come under non-positivist. However, he is giving stages like positivist. नहीं, देखो प्रांशु, ऐसा मत करो. स्टेज देने का मतलब पॉजिटिविस्ट थोड़ा होता है यार. ये मैंने कब बोला है? When did I say that to become positivist you need to give stages? ऐसा थोड़ा ना करते हैं यार. ये तो मैंने कभी बोला ही नहीं. हाँ. Or positivists talk about evolution of societies. Laws driving the course of society. This man is talking about evolution of self. अगर ऐसे सोचना है, ठीक है, इसमें पॉजिटिविज्म कुछ नहीं है. Constantly talking about actors. पॉजिटिविज्म कहां से हो गया? पॉजिटिविज्म तो एक्टर्स को इंपॉर्टेंस देता ही नहीं है. ठीक है. So now we will do revision of all the 6, ताकि कल से कोई भी मेरे से मार्क्स वेबर डरखाइन पार्सन मार्टन की बात ना करे. बिकॉज हमको आगे भी बढ़ना है, बाकी चीजें भी पढ़नी है. ठीक है. तो आज आखिरी दिन है इन सबका, लास्ट डे. एंड आफ्टर दिस RIP, rest in peace, all these 6. Okay. Although when you will read different units, succeeding units now, religion, politics, ये लोग फिर आएंगे कहीं ना कहीं. कभी इनके फॉलोअर्स आ जाएंगे, कभी ये खुद आ जाएंगे फिर से, थोड़ी थोड़ी देर के लिए. लेकिन जो आना था इनको वो चले गए. अब ऐसे ही आएंगे बस बीच बीच में. ठीक है. कल क्लास I'll let the students know by evening because I have some work tomorrow. ठीक है. In case if class is not possible tomorrow, then we will meet on Monday only. Okay. But I'll let you know if tomorrow we have class or not. Okay, so let us now begin quickly with revision of all the 6. Okay. How are we going to revise? In order to help you with revision of the 6 scholars within 45 minutes, what we can do is I'll discuss one concept and then I'll show you what Durkheim would have said on it, what Marx would have said on it, what Weber would have said on it. उससे ज्यादा आसान होएगा बजाय कि मैं पूरा थ्योरीज पढ़ाऊं, वो तो इम्पॉसिबल है. That is impossible. Okay. So for example, if there is any phenomena that we can start explaining with the help of all these people, that phenomena could be anything. But if you want me to discuss on any specific phenomena from the perspective of 6, you may tell me, otherwise I'll take my own example and then I'll explain phenomena from the perspective of these 6. COVID is not sociological phenomena. भाई see, देखो क्या है, I cannot explain COVID structural functionally. Why? Remember, any social phenomena can be subject to structural functional inquiry, okay, if it is repetitive standardized. COVID is not repetitive standardized. ये तो अभी आया है पहली बार दुनिया में, ये वाला स्ट्रेन पहली बार आया है, ये स्ट्रेन को रेपिड सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग यू कैन से कि सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग पे आप बोलो, कोविड पे नहीं होएगा सोशियोलॉजी. ठीक है. तो जब जैसे मान लो इफ यू सी अ रिसर्चर डूइंग सोशियोलॉजी ऑफ कोविड-19, तो इट इज नॉट लिटरली कोविड-19 दैट ही इज एनालाइजिंग, ही इज एक्चुअली स्टडीइंग इंपैक्ट ऑफ कोविड-19 ऑन स्ट्रक्चर्स, समथिंग लाइक दैट. ओके. अल्कोहल कंजम्पशन इंक्रीजेस डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस. यस, वो तो है. फैमिली, माइग्रेशन. Okay. So I'll analyze two things: family and migration. Family and migration. Both are repetitive, standardized items. Migration is a repetitive phenomena. Family is a repetitive, standardized phenomena. Okay, that can be subject to inquiry. Okay. Let us start with family. Let me look at family through Durkheim's perspective. Family to Durkheim is what? Social fact. Simple सी बात है. Family is a social fact, external to and coercive of the members of family. So as an actor, you are not free. You are bound by certain norms within family. You have to follow those customs, traditions of the family. Okay. You are not individual actor anymore. Constrained. Okay. Family. Family as an institution has a function. The function is to integrate the members. If there is any sort of conflict, it will be resolved. That will be temporary phase, just like anomie in the larger society. Any conflict within family is also temporary. It will be resolved. Okay. Something like this, Durkheim would say. Okay. So it's pathological behavior on part of family if there is sort of dispute within family. Okay. And therefore family, the function of family is to first socialize the young into norms or values which are required for him to sustain himself. Secondly, function of family is to integrate the members. Simple. Okay. Now, this is what Durkheim on family would say. Okay. Talcott Parson would also say the similar thing, but I'll come to Talcott Parson after some point of time. Okay. I will extend this argument further with the help of Talcott Parsons. Okay. Now, Marx Acha, you can also say on Durkheim that when industrialization happened, the structure of joint family also got weakened, disintegration. Okay. But then these isolated individuals, how will they now get integrated? Because of the interdependence, they will again form a new set of family, but this will be small in size, which is nuclear family. Okay. Although all of them have got individualist, but they need each other. Okay, and that is what will form a family. This family's shape and design will be different from that of pre-industrial families. Okay, but family survives. Adaptive capacity, Parsons. ठीक है. Now, Marx. According to Marx, family is a form of consciousness in the superstructure of society. It is a form of consciousness in the superstructure. ये superstructure में है. Form of consciousness in the superstructure of society. And what is the duty of any form of consciousness in the superstructure? To justify economic base. How is family justifying economic base? Family is the guardian of the biggest enemy of Karl Marx. Family is the guardian of private property. बाप मरने वाला है, प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी पास ऑन होगी बेटे को, बेटा रख लेगा अपने पास. मार्क्स बोलेगा it is only because of this family that the system of private property is passed on from one generation to another and there is no concept of distribution of resources. क्या बात है. It is family only which socialize people into becoming a good, efficient businessman of the year. बेटा मेहनत करो, हार्ड वर्क करो, करोड़ों छापो. हम तो चाहते हैं तुम हमारा नाम रोशन करो. कैसे रोशन करना है? कंपनी ज्वाइन करो बेटा, अच्छी सी पढ़ाई लिखाई करो. ठीक है. ये फैमिली, दिस इज द फैमिली इज वन फॉर्म ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस विच इज क्रिएटिंग वर्किंग क्लास. Family is the form of consciousness which is maintaining private property. Therefore, family is supporting economic base. क्या बात है? वेबर क्या बोलेगा? वेबर फैमिली, वेबर ने ऐसा कुछ, इन लोगों ने ऐसा कुछ ऐसा नहीं बोला. मैं तुम्हें बता रहा हूं, एनालाइज करना हो तो ऐसे करो. किसी भी चीज को उठाओ तो उनकी नजर से देखो कि वो क्या बोलेंगे. ये प्रैक्टिस खुद से करो एक बार. ठीक है. ये आराम से हो भी सकती है अगर रिवीजन अच्छी हो. ये कर लोगे, क्योंकि नेक्स्ट यूनिट्स में हमने यही करना है. In the next units, we are going to do this thing only, nothing else. Okay. We'll take each organ of society, religion, power, politics, family, and analyze them through these perspectives. Okay, and some other things as well. Weber. What will Weber say on family? First of all, Weber will look at the family as a structure presided over by traditional authority. पहली बात तो ये. क्या हुआ? हाँ, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल अगले टाइप पे भी आऊंगा मैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, फैमिली is a structure presided over by a traditional authority. Family maintains itself. Why? Because members of the family obey the command of traditional authority. Why do they obey the command of traditional authority? Because of the norms, values and tradition in ancient text. ये सिखाया गया है कि बाप की इज्जत करनी है, उनके सामने जबान नहीं लड़ानी, तो वो जो बोलेंगे हम करेंगे. ओके. Secondly, family is an ideal type. Family is an ideal type. Why it is an ideal type? It is just a model of reality. Family does not exist per se. What we can do as sociologists is to develop models through which we can analyze different forms of families that we have in world, because there is no one form of family in the whole world. Many countries have different forms of families. You cannot say family industrialized होके न्यूक्लियर बन गई. ये कितना एब्स्ट्रैक्ट और कितना वेग है. You're completely detached from the concrete reality. In the real world, you would not find only nuclear family. There are 100 types of families you will find. Okay. So what we can do at Max as a sociologist is to develop a model of family. And in our mind, the model of family, let us assume any model. In my model of family, I have mother, father, children, plus household. ये है मॉडल मेरा. दिस इज माई मॉडल ऑफ फैमिली. ओके. नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? I will come to know that this is not what family is. This was only my model of family, because in reality I can also see father, only two people. Father plus children. I can see this. Gay families. तो बच्चे कहां से हो गए? अरे सरोगेसी है, आईवीएफ टेक्नोलॉजी है, केयर सेंटर से ऑर्फन केयर सेंटर वहां से अडॉप्ट कर लिया, कौन सी बड़ी बात है? बन गई फैमिली. इन रियलिटी आई कैन ऑल्सो सी mother, lesbian families with 2 kids. In reality, I can also see single mother with her child, single parent family. वो भी तो फैमिली होती है. I can also see family of transgenders who are neither mother nor father. but acting like mother and father. Okay, that is the family. There is one scholar, Keith Weston. मैं बताता हूं. Keith Weston. Keith Weston has written one book, Families We Choose. कितना बढ़िया टाइटल है इसकी बुक का. Families that we choose. Generally, people are born to families. You do not choose families. And she's saying, she is writing a book, Families We Choose. She's talking about transgenders. They choose families, they make their families. Because their families do not accept them. So they make families, their own, choose families, transgender families. Okay. Keith Weston, that is also family. Okay. We also have weekend families. Weekend. हफ्ते में एक दिन बनने वाली family. When I showed you mother, father, children, and household, do you see mother, father, children, household all throughout the week? No. ये reality you will capture only once in a week. This is one reality you capture only once in a week. हफ्ते में एक दिन आपको mother, father, children दिखेंगे और घर के साथ. That is known as weekend family. ये भी family है. ठीक है. So, you know, when you make models, you actually get to appreciate other forms of reality. Without making model, if you start ascribing features to family, तब तो फिर आप एनालिसिस नहीं कर रहे हो कुछ भी वेबर के हिसाब से. ओके. And then what will Weber say finally? Weber say, finally, the fate of our times is characterized by intellectualization, rationalization, and above all by the disenchantment of the modern world. That means today you are not concerned about family, you are concerned only about yourself. Disenchanted. यार मम्मी का फोन आ रहा है, उठा ले. अबे छोड़ना यार, अभी मुझे पता है क्या बोलेंगे, बाद में करूंगा बात. भाई पापा का फोन आ रहा है, उठा ले. अब तो तू अपना काम करेगा. ओके, कोई चिंता नहीं है फैमिली की, अपने से लगे पड़े. डिसएंचांटेड. वो जो सो कॉल्ड कॉन्सेप्ट है फैमिली का, मदर, चाइल्ड, पेरेंट्स, एक घर के अंदर जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स की एड में दिखाते हैं, वो रियलिटी में एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता है. सारा टाइम हैप्पी फैमिली दिखाया जाता है. ठीक है, ऐसी एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती है. रियलिटी बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है. IFS इज माई प्रेफरेंस, टॉप प्रेफरेंस. इंडिया छोड़ देगा, मम्मी पापा, ठीक है यार, वहां अपनी फैमिली बनाएंगे, नेक्स्ट जनरेशन. Rationalization, instrumental orientation, not concerned about traditions, customs, values, or emotions, only concerned about formal, rational, and that is highly instrumental. अपने बारे में सोचना सर. ओके, खत्म. Talcott Parsons. Talcott Parsons will say that family is situated in cultural system. पहली लाइन उसकी ये होगी, कल्चरल सिस्टम है फैमिली. ओके, फैमिली इज situated in cultural system. What is the function of family in cultural system? Function of family is to motivate individuals, to sustain the motivation of individuals, and to diffuse their tensions. Diffuse their tensions. Motivate individuals and diffuse their tensions. Diffuse tension. This is what the larger function of cultural system is. Family is also doing this. Family also doing primary socialization, socializing the young with care, initial care and love. Okay, feeding him or her. This is primary socialization that you have to do. Nurture him or her. Okay. Now, Talcott Parsons says, since he is very much inspired by Max Weber, so he is actually talking about a family as an extended model that we had before Industrial Revolution. After Industrial Revolution, now we have nuclear family. Okay, largely because, and both of them are ideal types according to Talcott Parsons. These are ideal types. Okay, and Talcott Parsons is saying family has lost many of its functions. Now family has not declined, family has actually become specialized. Okay, family as an organ has now become specialized in unique features. Family is not giving education today. Family is not giving you entertainment today. Family is not arranging marriage for you today. Okay, family is not giving you job today. All these functions have now been lost to specialized institutions. To give you job, we have specialized institutions. To give you love, also we have specialized institutions. To get you marriage, okay, to get you in the bond of marriage, we have specialized institutions for that as well. Okay, for caring, all those things also we have specialized institutions. Okay, so therefore family has adapted to the changing times of industrialization. तभी survive कर लिया family ने. And therefore it is not just a family, it is a family that is industrially fit family. This is what Talcott Parsons says. मैं आगे बताऊंगा. This is not just a family, it is industrially fit. इंडस्ट्रियल सोसाइटी के लिए फिट है, ये वो फैमिली है. ठीक है, स्पेशलाइज्ड है ये, स्पेशलाइज्ड. ओके, yes, pattern variable B, we can say family. Remember, see, when Talcott Parsons is analyzing family, Talcott Parsons is saying whatever happens, family within family, you would not see pattern variable A to B shift, because mother would always be caregivers. This is what he is saying. Okay, you may call him patriarchal, whatever that may be, but he is simply depicting what is happening before him in society. He is saying mother will always care. Mother will never say, अरे मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है, इसको दूध पिलाओ यार कोई. ऐसा नहीं कभी मदर करेगी, इंस्ट्रूमेंटल कभी नहीं रहेगी. फादर हमेशा शायद इंस्ट्रूमेंटल रहेंगे. ठीक है, दूध चाहिए तेरे को, एक थप्पड़ मारो तेरे को. ठीक है, ऐसा कर देंगे. पापा को कोई प्यार व्यार नहीं है, ऐसा कोई इमोशंस नहीं है. मम्मी बोली यार ऐसे कैसे बोल रहे हो यार अब तुम इसको. तो मदर वुड ऑलवेज बी expressive, father would always be instrumental. This thing cannot be changed. This is what Talcott Parsons is saying on family. और वो सब डिटेल्स में अभी आगे जाके बताऊंगा. फैमिली का एक अलग यूनिट है, अभी मैं ज्यादा जाना नहीं चाहता उसके ऊपर. ठीक है, बट यू गॉट रफ आइडिया Talcott Parsons क्या बोलेगा फैमिली पे. ओके, नाउ Merton. See, to have Merton on family would not be fair. Okay, because Merton has never really analyzed family as such. Okay, Max Weber ने तो फिर भी चलो बताया है कुछ ऐसी बातें जो कि एप्लीकेबल है, ट्रेडिशनल अथॉरिटी का कॉन्सेप्ट दे रहे हैं, वो फैमिली की बात कर रहे हैं वहां पे. ओके, Merton ने कभी एक्सप्लिसिटली फैमिली के ऊपर बात करी नहीं है. बट रिमेंबर, द वेरी आइडिया ऑफ रेफरेंस ग्रुप एंड रोल मॉडल और रेफरेंस इंडिविजुअल्स कैन बी यूज्ड टू एक्सप्लेन फैमिली. ओके, कैसा बनना चाहते हो? आई वॉन्ट टू बिकम जस्ट लाइक माई फादर. अच्छा, क्या करते हैं तुम्हारे फादर? ऑटो चलाते हैं. ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक ठीक. रेफरेंस इंडिविजुअल. ठीक है, रोल मॉडल. आई वॉन्ट टू बिकम लाइक हिज फादर. ओके, reference individuals. Family can be an in-group. It is your membership group. You are born in a family membership group. Being a member of this family, you choose to orient yourself to Mumbai or Delhi because you are Kapoor. Since you are Ranbir Kapoor, you are born to Kapoor's family. So you would orient yourself to Bollywood or some jewelry business or some restaurant chains or salon. Okay, something like this, big business. Okay. Why? This is what our family has been doing. This is the profession. And who's your role model? My great grandfather, RK Studio, जिनके नाम पे है. He is my idol. Role model. Okay. Once you have become successful in Bollywood now Bollywood becomes your new family. Okay. You sit, discuss, have chat, spend most of your time with new people that you have met in this industry. उनके साथ उठना बैठना, पार्टी चलेगी. Okay. So, what will happen? This is your new group that you have found. Okay, initially you aim to become one of them, and until then it was non-membership group. Once you have showed your caliber to the people have liked you as an actor. Now you have been accepted in Bollywood fraternity as well. Okay. So what was your out group at one point of time is now your in group. Okay. And this explains mobility. From in group to out group. It's mobility, social mobility. Okay. One day, you sign up for a film. Okay. Which is not liked by the audiences. Tomorrow. The movie flops. Movie flops badly. Flops badly. You sign up for another movie. Again, it flops badly. Super badly. Another movie, फिर flop हो गई. और भी ज़्यादा flop हुई. Okay. Now the directors would not approach you. अब नहीं वो देंगे तुम्हें काम. ठीक है. अरे बट आई एम फ्रॉम कपूर फैमिली. अरे तो क्या, मेरा तो पैसा गया ना. तुम्हारी फैमिली देगी मुझे पैसा, करोड़ों जो मैंने निकल लगाया था. ओके. Kapoor family is looking at him with full disgust. बर्बाद कर दिया हमारी फैमिली का नाम. आरके स्टूडियो हमने खोला था और वहां उधर बॉलीवुड वाले उसको ले नहीं रहे किसी मूवी में. मार्जिनैलिटी. क्या करें, कोई रिलेशनशिप चलाते हैं, कोई अफेयर करते हैं, इससे वापस न्यूज में आएंगे. ठीक है. और फिर उसके बाद फिर कोई नया रोल मेरे को मिल जाएगा. अडेप्टेशन. अडेप्टिंग टू मार्जिनैलिटी. ओके. खत्म. तो आई टॉक्ड अबाउट रेफरेंस ग्रुप थ्योरी, रोल मॉडल, ऑल दोस थिंग्स. ठीक है. सोशल मोबिलिटी, मार्जिनैलिटी, ये सब मैंने कर दिया. ठीक है. यू मे इवन टॉक अबाउट रोल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. Okay. Acha, there is one concept that Merton has also discussed and is actually coined by someone else, but I can discuss him here. Okay. There is one concept known as status inconsistency. Status inconsistency. This was actually coined by Gerard Lesky. Used by Merton also, Gerard Lesky. What is status inconsistency? आपके पास पावर बहुत है पर पैसा नहीं है. Status inconsistency. ठीक है. आप बीटेक हो, पर पैसा है 15,000 महीने का। आप आईआईटी से हो, पैसा है 35,000, ठीक है, 2-3 साल के बाद होएगा 60। स्टेटस इनकंसिस्टेंसी, जितना किया उसके हिसाब से आपके पास है नहीं कुछ। अच्छा, आपके पास पैसा बहुत है पर स्टेटस नहीं, ऐसा भी होता है। अ मैन सडनली बिकम्स करोड़पति। इन कौन बनेगा करोड़पति? ऑटो चला रहा था, एक रात में बन गया 1 करोड़पति। स्टेटस छोड़ना आ जाएगा? पहचाना तो अभी भी जाएगा, ऑटो वाले के पास 1 करोड़, अखबार में यही आएगा, ठीक है। ये नहीं लिखाएगा करोड़पति बना ऑटो वाला, ठीक है। स्टेटस नहीं आएगा, स्टेटस इनकंसिस्टेंसी है ये। रणबीर कपूर is a member of Kapoor family but is flop actor. Status inconsistency. कपूर खानदान और एक्टर नीचे का। ओके, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि वो खराब एक्टर है, बहुत अच्छा एक्टर है, बहुत अच्छी एक्टिंग करता है, आजकल नहीं चल रहा है इसलिए मैं ऐसा बोल रहा हूं। ओके, यू नो टुडे these days what do you see in Bollywood? People like रणवीर सिंह एंड क्या नाम है उसका, डेविड धवन के बेटे का, डेविड धवन के बेटे का नाम भूल गया मैं, हाँ वरुण धवन। रणवीर सिंह, वरुण धवन, ये एक्टर्स हैं। दिल्ली में इनको छिछोरा बोलते हैं, छिछोरे, ठीक है। बट ठीक है। सो ये हो गया तुम्हारा रॉबर्ट मॉर्टन। You can also talk about manifest and latent function. Manifest and latent function of family. Family may be functional for the system. It is turning out to be dysfunctional for the woman who is running this family. Every day she is facing abuse, domestic violence. Okay. All these things you can describe. Mead on family. Mead. Mead, what will Mead say? He will say, self and family are twice born. Self and family are twice born. Self was made in the context of family only. And family is made of selves like these. So there is no difference between family and self. Both are one and the same. Self is nothing but society internalized. Society is nothing but selves externalized. क्या बात है? मीडिया खत्म, ठीक है। एनी अदर डाउट? Remember, Marx, Weber, Durkheim, Parson, Mead, Merton and Mead. Okay. European, American. Always remember, these two did macro analysis. He did micro plus macro later on. So Weber is like bridge between these two. That is why Weber को ठीक बीच में रखा मैंने, ठीक है, ऐसे मान के चलो। Weber is actually a bridge between the two extremes. Okay, the two extremes are that of micro and macro. He is talking about social action as well, and then he gradually moves on towards social structures. Similar thing happened to Talcott Parsons. Structure of social action initially, moving on towards social system. Social system, creating conformist individuals. Everyone is perfectly socialized into the norms of society. But then Merton says, if everyone is perfectly socialized, then how would you explain birth of deviance? Okay, if everyone is conformist, how would you explain deviance? That is why deviance theory comes. Okay. Also, crime rate was happening like anything. In 1940s, it was at its peak. So, when you analyze anything, always think from their perspective. Yesterday, there was a news article on cosmopolitanism. Cosmopolitanism. Okay. Now, there is something that generally political scientists people read, not sociologists, but sociologists also read it. I mean, it's not there explicit in the UPSC syllabus, but we also do study on cosmopolitanism. Okay, generally it is a model that sociologists have developed. Okay, and many people have actually talked about it, Immanuel Kant and all those. Okay, cosmopolitanism का मतलब क्या होता है? वासुदेव कुटुंबकम, ये जो फिलॉसफी है हमारी हिंदू की, it is cosmopolitanism only. What is वासुदेव कुटुंबकम? सारे हम जो हैं 8 बिलियन, हम परिवार हैं, हम एक जैसे हैं, एक ही परिवार के हैं. दिस इज कॉस्मोपॉलिटनिज्म. ठीक है, बट क्या ऐसा होता है? सब एक ही परिवार के ऐसा होता है, ये कहने की बात है, रियलिटी तो ऐसा नहीं होता. सो व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट कॉस्मोपॉलिटनिज्म, इट इज ओनली अ मॉडल. ओके, and when you go into the reality, you find conflict between people. Hindu Muslim do not find themselves of one parivar, find themselves of 2 different parivars, but still they are staying together like members of parivar. जिनमें आपस में dispute होते तो भी साथ रहते हैं. And this is also a unique form of cosmopolitanism, but this is Asian cosmopolitanism that was studied by Ashish Nandi. Okay, Ashish Nandi is another Indian sociologist, okay, which I will teach you in paper 2. Okay, so cosmopolitanism is in India is coming out as a very different version than Western cosmopolitanism. Okay, therefore we are neither salad bowl, we are nor melting pot, we are thali. हम अलग हैं, थाली हैं. सैलेड बाउल अलग होता है. मेल्टिंग पॉट का मतलब, व्हाट इज मेल्टिंग पॉट? मेल्टिंग पॉट मींस ऑल डिफरेंट कल्चर्स ब्लेंड टुगेदर टू फॉर्म अ न्यू रेसिपी. दिस इज नोन एज मेल्टिंग पॉट. ठीक है, 6 सब्जियां ली, मिक्स कर दिया, एक नया सब्जी बन गया, मिक्स वेज. दिस इज मेल्टिंग पॉट. इंडिया इज नॉट मिक्स वेज. India is not mixed veg. It is not melting pot culture. Because people do, sabzis in India do not mix. Hindu do not mix with Muslims. They do not mix. Okay. Acha, so India is not melting pot. Acha, salad bowl hai India. Salad, what is salad bowl? Salad bowl mein kya hota hai? You see a bowl of salad. Differently and uniquely placed. Okay. अलग अलग दिखते हैं आपको. Right? Is India salad bowl? वो भी नहीं है. Because these two are extremes. Salad bowl and melting pot are extremes. Neither you see India not, Hindus not engaged completely with Muslims, nor you see India completely mixed with Hindus completely mixed with Muslims. You see both of them together, not because both of them have mutual respect for each other, but because both of them have mutual hatred for each other. That is why they are together. And it is their hatred towards each other which is not letting them mix with each other and also helping them to stay together. because we are modern as well at one point of time. So we are saying, no, it is their culture, let them practice. We cannot say anything on that. Okay. But we would never let our child become Muslim or to convert Muslim. Or we would never let our child become Hindu like these people. Okay. Let them practice what they want to do. They are Indians, they have fundamental rights. But we are not going to mix with them. So this is a very unique kind of mixture that is found in India. You are not mixing, but you are not even intervening. And this is known as Asian cosmopolitanism. But you could explore this reality only because you had one model of cosmopolitanism in your mind. And it is Max Weber, which has actually helped us to understand this complex reality. आसान है, सारी चीजें आसान है. When I'll teach you units ना, तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि ऐसे ऐसे करना होता है, ऐसे ऐसे करना होता है. Okay. Any doubts? अच्छा हम you know migration. What will Durkheim say on migration? You know this very well. मुझे बताने की जरूरत है नहीं. Migration happened. Material density increased. Competition increased to mitigate this competition. Cooperation was ensured through specialized division of labor. Simple. This is what Durkheim would say. Marx. See, what will Marx say on migration? Marx will always talk about the migration of working class. Why working class are migrating? Why working class are migrating? In order to seek employment or better opportunity, right? This is why people migrate. They migrate and industrialists get a new class of reserve army which can be easily exploited. Okay, so migration is functional that way to the industrialist class because migration provides a cheap source of labor. Okay, migration of the bourgeoisie is celebrated in society. Migration of proletariat is looked down upon. अभी जेफ बेजोस जितने बड़े बड़े लोग हैं स्पेस में माइग्रेट कर रहे हैं, एक ट्रिप मार के आ जाते हैं एक दिन का. हम सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. जब हम देखते हैं वर्कर्स माइग्रेट कर रहे हैं यहां से वहां, अरे यार बेचारे. ठीक है, उनका माइग्रेशन गरीब माइग्रेशन है, इनका माइग्रेशन अमीर. ठीक है, अलग है, बहुत डिफरेंस है दोनों के उसमें, बोर्जोइसी एंड प्रोलेटेरिएट्स. ओके, दिस इज हाउ ही लुक्स एट द वर्ल्ड. So migration to him is a proletarian phenomena. Migration is the result of capitalism. It is only because of the surplus values appropriation that people have to switch to other jobs. They are not happy. It is only because of alienation that they have to switch to jobs. Okay, this is how he explains migration. Okay. Migration is also one phenomena that does not let true class consciousness develop. Why? Why? Migration may also help the people to develop true class consciousness, but it restricts to a very large level, because when you migrate to America and join as employee of a specific company, you start thinking of yourself as superior. Okay. And you start looking down at the people working in India. Okay. And this actually prevents true consciousness. It is the nationality, a form of consciousness, that is not letting true consciousness to develop amongst the working class. So nationalism is a bourgeois ideology. Nationalism helps capitalist class. क्या बात है मार्क्स की? Weber or migration, because different background culture of migrants. ठीक है. What will Weber say on migration? 5 minutes हैं अभी. Formal rationality you can use. Okay. You can use formal rationality at one point of time. At one point of time, people were migrating. Maximum migration, if you know, is from rural to rural. Do you know this? Migration is not rural to urban, that is the maximum. The maximum migration is from rural to rural. गांव से गांव जाना सबसे बड़ा माइग्रेशन है इंडिया में. गांव से शहर आना नहीं, ठीक है, जिसको हम माइग्रेशन समझते हैं. ठीक है. माइग्रेशन उल्टा भी होता है, अर्बन से रूरल, वो भी एक माइग्रेशन, जिसको रिवर्स बोल देते हैं हम, रिवर्स. क्योंकि हमारे लिए माइग्रेशन का मतलब क्या है? अर्बन होना माइग्रेंट है. माइग्रेशन मीन्स अर्बन होना. ओके. सो बेसिकली मैक्स वेबर विल से, before industrialization, people were migrating from one place to another place. And the migration that people were having before industrialization was largely a traditional social action. Traditional social action. Okay. See, for example, in the hunting gathering society, it was migration. माइग्रेंट कर करके ही वो लोग आगे आगे बढ़ते रहते हैं. ये उनका ट्रेडिशनल सोशल एक्शन है. बर्न एंड स्लैश एग्रीकल्चर वी कॉल इट एज. बर्न किया, स्लैश किया, स्लैश एंड बर्न एग्रीकल्चर बेसिकली. ओके. ये ट्रेडिशनल उनका कस्टम है. करते आए हैं. वन डे यू स्टॉप्ड डूइंग दैट एग्रीकल्चर, यू मूव टू अर्बन पॉकेट. अरे छोड़ के जा रहे हो हमें? अरे कब तक ये करेंगे? अब बड़ा नाम चाहिए. इनको देख रहे हो? कब तक यूट्यूब पे देखोगे इनको? इनसे ज्यादा पोटेंशियल है हमारे पास. ये कर सकते तो हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते? वहां चलते हैं. ठीक है. छोड़ दिया अपना जो ट्रेडिशनल कल्चर था, छोड़ के चले गए आगे. अर्बन फॉर्मल रैशनल हो गए. ठीक है. अच्छा पीछे यार, और फैमिली को छोड़ के जा रहे हो? अरे ठीक है ना, वहां से वेस्टर्न यूनियन मनी ट्रांसफर करते रहूंगा. चिंता छोड़ दी फैमिली की. वेस्टर्न यूनियन मनी ट्रांसफर, फॉर्मल रैशनल. ओके. दिस इज द लार्जर ट्रेंड. Migration maximum today, the migration that we have mostly is distressed migration. Distressed. You are migrating not because you are wanting to have new opportunity. You are migrating largely because you have been pushed, or you somehow are not feeling satisfied with the present condition that you have. Distressed migration. Okay. So when you talk about Max Weber, you have to show how people are increasingly becoming formal rational. And it is the formal rationality which is driving them to migrate to new pockets. Okay. And when people reverse migrated, this can also be explained by Max Weber. Why reverse migration happened? Because they found their family is nothing but safety valve. You know na, safety valve. एक cushion है उनके लिए, cushion to fall back upon. Family acted as a cushion to fall back upon. Okay, during the times of crisis. So this was what family was to them, a cushion to fall back upon. The meaning of family changes in context. So during the times of crisis, they switched back to their villages. And this was what again formal rational behavior. Because they switched to family, not because they were concerned about their children or women, but because they wanted to continue practice their agricultural activity, ताकि अब कुछ तो गुजारा हो. So although we see that family, the concept of family revives again in agriculture, it is no more isolation or nuclearization or aspiration of individual. It is now restoration of family. But the restoration of family is the result of formal orientation, instrumental orientation, formal rationality. ठीक है, ऐसे ऐसे करना है. ये हो गया. फिर पार्सन्स, मर्टन, मीड. अब टाइम हो गया यार. देखो, थिंक ऑल बाय योरसेल्फ व्हाट दीज थ्री विल से ऑन माइग्रेशन, एंड कल मुझे बताओ. ठीक है, कल मुझे बताना. ओके, सो अच्छा, कल नहीं, सॉरी, कल बताना है या नहीं ये मैं शाम को बताऊंगा. Because it depends, क्योंकि I have some work tomorrow. Maybe the next class maybe on Monday. Okay, so Monday will be what is today? आज date क्या है? 23. Monday 26. Okay, so see, my target, our target to finish paper 1 is 15th August. As I told you, if you remember, first day I told you 15th August is our target. So that way we have roughly 20 days. 20 days is more than enough. Okay, because theoretical part is the bigger part. Next is only application. Okay, see you most probably on Monday. We'll inform you accordingly. Okay, bye.